The people of Umara village once began each morning at the river Omi. Children learned to swim in its gentle currents. Farmers blessed their seeds with its water. Fishermen whispered prayers to its guardian, the ancient water god Oluomi, whose stories were older than the oldest elder. But as the world modernized, traditions faded. Shrines were left untended. Festivals became excuses for noise, not reverence. The sacred stones that once glowed during ceremonies were now covered by weeds. And so the river grew quieter, thinner, weaker, until one morning it was simply gone. No water, no sound, just cracked earth stretching farther than anyone dared imagine. Panic rippled across Umara. The wells dried within hours. Livestock fell sick. People whispered of curses, of neighboring villages, of government neglect. Anything except the one explanation they feared to accept. They had abandoned the old god. Everyone except Arin, a quiet 14-year-old girl who still sat by the riverbank to listen to stories her grandmother left behind. Arin was different. Curious, thoughtful, and a believer in things beyond sight. While the adults argued, Arin wandered the riverbed alone, tracing patterns in the dust where water once flowed. And that's when she heard it. A weak, rhythmic tapping beneath the earth. First she thought she imagined it, but the sound grew clearer, like someone knocking from underground. Arin knelt, pressing her ear to the ground. The earth was cold, but the tapping was real. Desperate, almost like a heartbeat. She began removing loose stones, revealing a thin crack glowing faintly with blue light. Her chest tightened. Someone, or something, is down there. With trembling hands, she squeezed through the crack and found herself inside a large, dimly lit underground chamber. The air smelled of wet clay and ancient storms. At its center hovered a shimmering figure, frail, ghost-like, barely held together by faint threads of light. Umi, but not the mighty river god from the stories. This one flickered like a dying candle. His voice scraped like water over broken glass. "You, child, you remembered me." Arin's breath caught in her chest. Fear wrestled with awe. "Great Spirit, what happened to our river?" Olomi lowered his head, and the chamber darkened. "When your people stopped believing, my strength faded, and in the emptiness left behind, they were born." Who? From the corners of the chamber, shadows unfolded, thin, long-fingered creatures with eyeless faces. They moved like smoke, crawling across the walls. "Creatures of neglect," the god whispered. "Born from forgotten songs, broken promises, abandoned traditions." The shadows hissed. Arin stumbled back, but Oluomi raised a trembling hand, keeping them at bay. "You came because your heart still listens. If you wish to restore the river, you must journey to the forgotten realm, where lost myths go to die." Before she could protest, a doorway formed behind him, rippling like liquid glass. "Bring back what was stolen from me," the god said. "My life, my essence." Then he added, in a voice soaked with sorrow, "And do not trust everything you see." Stepping through the portal was like falling through memories. Arin landed in a strange world shaped by things humanity once believed in. Giant talking tortoises, forests where spirits whispered warnings, mountains that seemed to breathe. But everywhere she went, shadows lurked. And soon she realized a horrifying truth. The shadow creatures weren't just hunting her. They were growing. Every time a human forgot a fragment of myth, another shadow formed. Her first twist came at the Valley of Echoes, where she saw a familiar figure, her grandmother. Arin ran toward her, tears spilling. "Grandma, you're here." But the woman didn't blink, didn't smile. She only repeated Arin's words back to her. Perfect echo. Oluomi's warning echoed in her mind. "Do not trust everything you see." It wasn't her grandmother. It was a memory wearing her face, one of the realm's illusions meant to trap wanderers forever. The emotional blow nearly broke her, but she pushed on. At the lake of unsaid prayers, she found the first fragment of Oluomi's essence, a glowing sphere imprisoned by shadow creatures. She fought them off using a crystal she found in the cave, which glowed brighter the more courage she showed. Piece by piece, she recovered fragments of the god's strength. But something was wrong. Each time she claimed a fragment, the shadows didn't weaken, they grew angrier. And then she learned the twist none of the tales had mentioned. The shadows were not just born from neglect. They were created by Oluomi himself, unintentionally. When the villagers abandoned him, he tried to hold their memories forcibly. The rejected energy twisted into living shadows. He had birthed the very monsters destroying him. Arin returned to the cave with the fragments. Olomi grew brighter, stronger, towering. But his expression twisted with guilt. "Child," he said, "you must understand. I did not wish to fade. I clung to your people even when they no longer wanted me. And in my fear, I fractured myself. I became my own enemy." The shadows snarled behind Arin, larger than before. She realized something heartbreaking. Restoring the god would make the shadows unstoppable. Oluomi looked at her with ancient sorrow. "You must choose, Arin. Restore me fully, and the river will live. But the shadows may consume your world, or destroy my essence, and end me forever." Arin shook as tears blurred her vision. Her village needed water. Her people were suffering. She had fought so hard to save him. But the world could not survive a god reborn in fear. And so, with trembling hands, she raised the crystal, now glowing brighter than the river ever had, and shattered the final fragment. Umi cried out, not in pain but in relief. As his light faded, the shadows dissolved into dust. Chamber shook. Water burst from the ground, rushing up the riverbed, filling the valley once more. A soft voice whispered, "Thank you for setting me free." Then he was gone. The river Omi returned, strong, pure, renewed. Not because a god guarded it, but because a girl chose sacrifice over glory. Arin never told anyone what truly happened. The villagers believed the river's return was a miracle. They rebuilt the shrine in gratitude. But Arin kept the truth in her heart. The river flowed not because of a god, but because she ended a forgotten one's suffering. And when she sat by the water, sometimes the surface rippled softly, even when there was no wind, almost like a gentle thank you.